Welcome to Start Before You're Ready, the podcast that proves that you don't need to wait for the perfect moment to begin your journey towards better health and happiness. I'm your host, Kelly Young. Remember, the first step is often the hardest, but it's always worth taking. Hey guys, it's Kelly, and I'm back with an episode of Start Before You're Ready that everybody needs to listen to. So no matter who you are, this podcast is for you because we're going to be talking about something that everyone does, and that's eat. We're going to be talking about food today with our very own Amy Beyer. Amy she has been on this podcast more than anybody, and for good reason, because she has a wealth of knowledge and so much to talk about. But today, specifically, we're going to be talking about nutrition. It's the time of year where everyone's kind of thinking ahead about dinners and lunches and a little more schedule, a little bit more routine. And it's time to start off the year right. That's really kind of been our theme at KBC. Let's really start off strong and create some routines and create some structure. And just as much as we want to do that with our workouts, we want to do that with the food choices that we're making. So Amy, I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce yourself to the Start Before You're Ready community. I know everybody knows you, but we may have some new listeners. So why don't you go ahead and just give a nice introduction?
Hey everyone, my name is Amy Beyer, and I have been working with Kelly and the KBC team, now starting my 12th year, which seems crazy. I was like, I would say the average American. I had 3 kids, young, I was stay-at-home mom, and I was like just survival mode. So lots of ready to eat things and quick out the door, especially busy school mornings, just survival mode basically in the kitchen. And when in 2013, we just had the 13th anniversary, my middle son Lex was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and that kind of the thing that changed everything for me. So took something that was really devastating, and I went into full-blown mom mode of what can I do to help him, and then in turn help my entire family be healthier and really manage. The only way you can manage an autoimmune disease like that is through your lifestyle choices. And so I just started doing lots of mom mode research, and one thing led to another. A year later, Kelly reached out to me and asked me if I'd help out with coaching nutrition. I couldn't say yes fast enough. I got certified in 6 weeks. Julie White, who most of you know in our community, was my exam client, and we went through her whole nutrition. I wrote a big, long write-up on her, and 2 weeks later, I got my certification, and I started coaching in our Camp U program. And then now here I am over a decade later, and have expanded greatly from one-on-one coaching to lots of programming, and really just trying to, take the same concepts. But as I've learned more and grown in my coaching and really learned so much from this community, some programs like Clean and Shred I'm bringing back over and over. And sometimes I'm doing new programming just based on what's out there, what I'm hearing from people, and what I think will kind of go well. So I just really enjoy nutrition. I enjoy learning about food. I'm still always constantly reading, listening, just staying up to date on as much as I can, because it's fun. It's interesting and it's fun.
Yeah. And there's so much to learn, and it's a really important subject matter to be educated on. And what you've done for our community is just outstanding as far as educating them. And one of the things that I'm most proud of as a fitness professional and coach is, yes, you're right. Things evolve, things change. Certain topics hit different at different times, but nothing's changed. It's the same. It's the same. If you're true to what really works, which is getting a little bit better in your food choices. And I think that's what you're really good at. You're not like, hey, you don't need to be perfect. I'm not perfect. Let's pick this one thing that you can focus on right now and make a change and that you can keep doing. I think that's where that's where the members that I look at that do your programs over and over again, or that just say like rave about their experience with a program or something that they learned, what they'll say is, I learned this, and it's like the smallest little thing, and I still do it. They might do 10 other things that are terrible, but who cares? They picked up this one little thing, and that's really great. And I think people are too hard on themselves. They have this all or nothing mentality. Like my new way to say it is like, either I'm measuring all my food, eat chicken and broccoli or whatever I want. It's like, can we find something in between? Right? I mean, that's the secret sauce if you're going to keep doing it. And so one thing I'm just curious is like personal curiosity, because you have been doing it for 12 years now and in the trenches of it. It's very different, I think, there's different roles in the nutrition space, but you are working directly one-on-one with clients or doing like group training, and you're really seeing people over time, not just 6 weeks, 6 months. You're seeing people over, let's go back to Julie White. She just was the mother of the bride. I've never seen such a stunning, ripped, beautiful mother of the bride. And people might have looked at those pictures. Amy shared some pictures on our Facebook page, and people might have looked at those pictures of Julie and been like, oh, well, she's just one of those people that always looks great. Let me tell you, Julie's been trying for over 12 years. We're just kind of at the end of it, but she has been trying and tweaking and figuring out and being a student of nutrition, just like we are.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned that, because when I reached out to Julie and I originally asked her, hey, do you mind if I share your progress? She was very hesitant. In fact, I think she told me no at first, because she says, oh, I'm no role model. I've had such ups and downs, and she just didn't feel almost like worthy of the recognition because it's been such a struggle with her. And for me, that was the exact reason I wanted to shout her out, was because I've been on the phone with Julie in tears. Like, I don't know what else to do. And I've worked with her. She was my very first client. And so we've been together through all the struggles, and her breast cancer and her reconstruction and menopause and just life, taking care of family. And so I love it because she's 100% real. And sometimes that it just takes, falling off and getting back on again and trying. And sometimes eventually, like, I think that resilience is what I love in her. And she's walking around like, she looks great, and she knows it, and she should be so proud.
Well, she worked for it. She
absolutely, 100%. Yes.
I think we're always most proud of what things that we've worked for. Over the 12 years, what would you say the thing you've noticed that's changed the most?
Oh, that's a good question. I think how I've changed is when I first started, I had no idea how emotional food is. And I remember being shocked and almost scared when I would meet with clients and they would start crying. I was like a deer in headlights. I'm like, I don't know what to say. I thought I was just talking about protein and carbs. And so I've learned how food is a part of us. It's a part of our culture. It's a part of our family. It's a part of how we grew up. So I think being able to now know that when I talk about food, it makes it, a lot easier for me to connect with my clients. I think one thing I've learned from the people I've worked with is just really how people love learning about food. They really appreciate. My perspective is usually especially when I do programs or even when I'm one-on-one coaching, I try to give evidence, not in a science annoying way, but in a, hey, this is why I'm telling you this. And I feel like once they understand, oh, this is why I need to eat this much protein, or this is why I need to do this, then they're so much more likely to do it. They really appreciate. And, one thing I try to do is I'll send them, if I see an article and it makes me think of somebody, I'll send them the article. If I listen to a podcast and I was just talking to somebody about getting more fiber, and it's a podcast about easy ways to get fiber, I'll send it to them. So I think just finding ways to make nutrition accessible and we're not taught it really in school. So unless you learned it in your own kitchen growing up, like just helping them learn about it, and then they become, I hear them and like, they become the educators, right?
Oh yeah. Once they know, they know.
Yes, they
know. They're the expert.
Yes.
That happens quick. I know. Well, it's good. That's great. That's great. With so much conflicting information about nutrition and from everything, as you mentioned, podcasts and articles and the internet or the social media and all the things that we see, what are some basic principles that matter most, that in your opinion, for eating well and maintaining a healthy weight?
Yeah, I think you would probably agree with me. I've been in your kitchen enough to know that the stuff that works is it's really boring. We're doing the same things over and over. We're going to Costco and buying the same foods over and over, cooking a lot of the same meals. I frequently hear, or I get a text, and I'm sure you're the same way, of like, oh, look what I found. And I think everybody, and we all are in a lot of ways, we're looking for that magic solution, that easy button. And it really just goes back to whole foods that your grandparents would recognize, foods that you can pronounce the ingredients. And no matter what special magic product is out there, I don't care how much protein it has or how much fiber, there's really no substitute for whole foods, because we can't just eat protein or just eat fiber isolation. We need all the nutrients that come with the foods we eat. So, when you're eating a piece of salmon, for instance, you're not only getting a great source of protein, but you're getting the best probably source of whole food omega-3 fatty acids, which are amazing for us. So it's not just like, oh, have a protein bar and then a fish oil supplement. No, eat the piece of salmon. So I think just really always getting back to the core of whole foods, boring but effective, creating that diet of foods that nourish you.
Yeah. Well, I always agree, and I agree with everything you just said, but I don't think food ever has to be boring. I think you can make food taste delicious with like the easiest of a sauce, a spice. I don't know. Food, I don't like boring. To me, boring is like plain. I know you don't eat this way, but like plain vegetables and plain, like that is boring. But to me, like you can turn it, you can do it Asian, you can do it Mexican, you can do it Italian, you can do any food, any style, and it's delicious, but your base is real food. And I know that's what you mean too.
No, I mean, the plan is boring. I mean, there's no like, there's no like crazy thing.
Yeah.
Food's not boring.
I got you. Right.
The plan is, I shouldn't say boring. I should say simple. It's just very simple.
Yes,
right.
Simple.
Yes. Simple is probably a better word.
Simple. The basic foods, but you can do 20 things with them.
Exactly.
And you're right. Like I do buy a lot of it, but I hate eating the same food. I'm like, it has to have a theme. It has to have a flavor. It has to have, and I know some people some people have a much different palate and they're fine with something more basic, and that's fine too. But I think you can eat delicious, yummy food and still have a whole foods principle behind what you're eating, but just put it together in different ways. And that's like probably more, everybody has their own style with that. But I do think that enjoying your food is really important. Like that's when I go back to chicken and broccoli. Like that's, I've been doing this for how many years? Like back in the day, it was like you would eat steamed broccoli and boiled chicken, or that was like what they would tell you to eat. And like, oh, like to me, I'd rather die. Like give me some little bit of feta on that, or I don't want to eat that way. So I think that figuring out, and if you're not a cook, what sauce do you have in your refrigerator, or what spice, or what can you put on it to make it taste yummy? Because it doesn't have to be anything crazy. You don't have to throw something on it to make it taste better or make it taste to your palate. And that's even with prepping food. Like I prep super basic. I use like very basic spices. I don't put anything really on my chicken, and then I'll turn it into whatever it's going to be. And I think that just having real food ready, I think is your best bet and it could be like, I know you say sometimes too, like, yeah, sometimes you're going to be getting like these pre-cooked chicken or whatever it is. It's way better than, it's not your first choice, but if it's that versus a shake, would you agree with that, Amy? You'd rather them have the...
Yeah, I do. I mean, I prefer, if rotisserie chicken's not ideal, but hey, if it gets you a real food meal on the table, that's fine. And I mean, I just feel, for me, like, especially if it's a main meal like dinner, it's always good to kind of sit down and have real food rather than, I'm not saying protein shakes don't have their place, they certainly do, but if you can get a good meal, I think that's better. And I think you hit the nail on the head. The magic is learning, which is something I had to learning how to prepare real foods so they are so good and you want to eat them. And then the more processed stuff starts to taste kind of icky to you. And so for my Clean and Shred program, we have an online recipe book that has been growing since the very first Clean and Shred. And everyone who does it is invited to contribute to it. And so you put your name, the name of the recipe, the link to the recipe, and then any notes that you might have for preparation. Because once you make something, I don't know about you, but I'm always subbing different things and lightening it up or doing whatever. And it has become, I think last I counted, it was close to 100 recipes. And it's really good stuff. And it's all like whole foods. And it's from sites we all follow. But there's lots of things in there. I mean, one of the recipes in there, I'm blanking on where it's from, but I remember Lauren Stelmack put it in there, and it is a Tuscan chicken. I made it last week, and it is one of my go-to, like, I just want a really good meal, but I don't have a lot of time, and it's easy. And you just take about 3 pounds of chicken, and then you just put, like, garlic, salt, pepper on it in the crock pot. Then you cover it with 2 drained cans of artichoke hearts, a full jar of sun-dried tomatoes, and you get the ones in the olive oil, and then you just cook it on low until the chicken's done. And then about 15 to 20 minutes before I serve it, I'll dump like half a bag of chopped kale in there. And then you can serve it over rice or cauliflower rice. I usually do half and half mix. It's restaurant quality, and it could not be easier. So just things like that it's a whole food recipe, and it's easy, and it's delicious, and most people's, I'm sure there's some kids that won't eat it, but a lot of kids I think will.
Yeah, no. Well, they could always you could always, like, if they don't like the artichokes, you can always kind of pull out some chicken before you. Yeah, that's a great one. I'm going to try that. Okay, let's talk about Clean and Shred a little bit. So that is in my mind, that's kind of your signature program, because that's where I think we've seen the most dramatic changes from our members over time. And I remember talking about it when you first started it, and it was a little bit, I don't want to use the word strict, but you talk about it like in that regard.
Yeah, so I've definitely evolved with it over the years. When originally I did it, it was very, very strict. It's still very strict, but originally it was very akin to Whole30, if anybody's familiar with that, where you take out all processed foods, pretty much everything other than whole plant-based foods, and even some of those you can't have originally, and then you add stuff back in as the week goes. It still follows that model somewhat, but I've learned over the years that it's not as strict with some of the things you take out. Like originally, like I didn't allow people to have things like beans and lentils the first week. And now we do things like that because as I learned through the years, I had trouble getting people to work things back in. And I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not doing them a service if I'm having them take out high fiber foods and then they don't want to work them back in. Like that's actually counter to what I want them to do. So we've evolved it to so where there's fuel days and there's reset days. So and each week has a certain number of fuel days and reset days. The reset days stay the same throughout the entire program. And they are really they're pretty strict. Those are your days where you're having lean, real food protein. You are having vegetables, pretty much all vegetables except the starchy ones we limit to 1 to 2 servings a day, but everything else is many vegetables as you want. Fruits we're keeping to the non-tropical fruits and 1 to 2 servings a day. So no bananas, pineapple, the high sugar, grapes, things like that. Don't worry, we work them back in, but it's initially, it's to help you, most people are wanting to lose weight. So it's to help with that. And then we're just eating lots of real food. And then on the fuel days, they're exactly what they sound like. You're adding in a little more things like beans and lentils and grains and still whole foods, but you're getting a little more carb energy. And then we kind of just work those fuel days up a little bit as we go through the program. Then we'll start adding in. We don't originally have any grains the first week, and then we slowly start to add them in. And I'd really like to try to give people choices like, hey, if we're on week 3 and you still haven't had bread yet, like if you want to add bread in now, you can. And some people are like, no, I'm good. And I really try to individualize it because same thing, we start without dairy and then work it back in. Because I want people not that I think there's anything wrong with dairy. I don't. I enjoy dairy. But sometimes when we take something out, once we reintroduce it, we notice, oh, maybe this bloats me. Or, some people, I remember one participant one year when she introduced dairy back, or she didn't want to introduce it back because she's like, I've noticed my acne all cleared up. And I think dairy was a trigger. So you just never know. We all react so differently to different things.
Yeah, it's an amazing program. And I think it's very doable. Like that sounds scary for maybe some people, no dairy, but like you get it back. And there's other foods that you might be trying. Sometimes when you take something else away, it forces you into like trying another food that you never considered that actually you might really enjoy.
Exactly. And I mean, there's so many alternatives for everything now, that I think it's a lot more doable. And I don't drink coffee. Not that I have anything against it. I think it's actually wonderful, for you, but I've never developed a taste for it. But most people in the group do. And so just the conversations around, okay, I got to get rid of my coffee mate. The conversations around
people in their creamer. That's a whole. I know.
So I'm always like, help each other out. Tell, what do you enjoy that's been a replacement for you? And people do that with so many things. I mean, half the time I'm just like taking a back seat and they're just all telling each other because, like you said, many of the participants have done the program a couple times. So they know when they get in the clean and shred mode, like, okay, they're ready to go.
Yeah. I love that. And I think also like another funny part about it is a lot of our kids are older now, but when the kids were younger, they'd be like, oh, my mom's doing clean and shred. Like, but they would like it too. I know a lot of the recipes they would be excited about, but like they kind of knew like, certain, we're not going to be having maybe something that they would normally have for dinner that they might miss, but that's okay. I think that's good for everybody. I think one thing I've learned from doing this podcast is, man, we can really help our kids by just not, even if they don't eat like we do, just modeling how we want them. We want to eat how we want to eat and let them figure it out. But at least they see what it looks like. I think that's I think that's something that I have learned from this podcast in particular, talking to younger people, talking to parents. It's just, it's really amazing. Like how we can help our children by not doing anything, just being and showing them. So excellent. Now let's talk a little bit about ingredient labels, because I know that you think more about ingredient labels than nutrition labels. And I know one of your things that you feel strongly about is like some of the marketing that we see that confuses all of us, myself included. Sometimes I come home with something and I'm like so mad because it's got something in it and I just saw this and I thought, so I talk about nutrition labels and what we should look for in packaged food.
Yeah. So one of the main things, central to when I first started the Clean and Shred. That was important to me. Going back to the education piece was really teaching people how to shop, because I feel like they would do great. They're listening to the sessions with me and they're like all ready to go. And then they get to the grocery store and they like freeze and they're like, I need you with me in the store. And so one of my thoughts was, you don't need me with you. You can do this yourself. Anyone can do this. But we have to get away from first, not to say don't look at the nutrition label. Definitely look at the nutrition label. But look first at the ingredients. Ignore the front of the package because it's marketing. They're trying to sell. And food manufacturers do a brilliant job of it. They're trying to sell you that product. So flip it over, look at the ingredients. First thing is, how long is the ingredient list? And so the beginning of the Clean and Shred, we try to do mostly minimally processed foods. So it's a hard definition to give because you can have 10 ingredients and maybe it's a tomato sauce that's just tomatoes and onions and garlic and basil and oregano, and like that can add up and it can be all real food. But I try to say if it's 5 or 6 ingredients, that's usually a good place to start. And then literally go through and can you visualize every ingredient on that list? Are they things you cook with in your kitchen? And lots of times we start getting into ingredient lists for more highly processed products and we're like, maltodextrin, I don't know what that is. I don't cook with maltodextrin. Acesulfame potassium, what is that? So I try to coach people. We even practice in the group. I'll have nutrition labels for different products and I won't tell them what the product is. And I'll say, all right, volunteer, somebody read this to me. And we all get a laugh because all the words are like your high school chemistry class. And then say, just looking at this label, does this sound like something you want in your body? And they'll all be like, no. And then I'll pop up the picture of the front of what the product is. And half the classes bought that and have that in their kitchen because it's, a common product. So it's really just bringing awareness to buying things that have real food ingredients. And then I do a lot of talk about sugar on ingredient labels because sugar is one thing in Clean and Shred. I'm not trying to eliminate sugar, but I am trying to reset taste buds so that people aren't constantly craving, I need something sweet, I need something sweet, I need something sweet. And we now know that food manufacturers break up sugar into different ingredients because otherwise they'll have to list it as, ingredients are listed.
The first ingredient.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So they're not putting, honey as the first ingredient,
Yeah.
Have it broken up into, and I think there's something like, I don't know, over 30 different names for sugar, more if you include the artificial sweeteners and sugar alcohols. So it's really just educating people on.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's really smart. And I think that's something that everyone that's listening to this podcast right now can think about, and just turning something over and looking at the ingredients. Maybe there's one thing, sometimes there's like, it's a preservative or there's some gums and stuff. It's like, I'm not going to buy that, but I'd prefer it not to have it, to be honest. I use like the almond milk. Like I'll buy that Silk almond milk just because I like the sugar-free almond milk. And I know it's not the greatest choice, but I'm like, I barely drink it and put it in my shake or whatever. No big deal. But then they had the one, like they had a new one that didn't have
malk.
that was,
yeah.
I'm sorry, what's it called? What's the name?
Malk. MALK. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, first I almost didn't buy it because I was like, okay, if I put this in my shake, it's like 80 calories a cup. I'm like, wait a minute. I can take this and put half water and half this. I'm going to save money. It's going to be cheaper than the other one. And it's going to taste the same. It's just a richer almond milk. Like almond milk really tastes like water anyway, in my opinion. So anyway, so that's like just an example of like how where you shop can sometimes help or hurt you as far as what you're buying. And I'll just say something that I always like to say. I don't hear it as much anymore, but like I know a lot of people that felt like if it was at Whole Foods, then it was like good. And it's just not the case. Whole Foods has the same, they might have a bigger selection of some higher quality products, but they have plenty of things on their shelf that are not necessarily good. So just being at Whole Foods doesn't qualify it for anything. I don't see. That's just one example, in my opinion, where people have come so far. Like that was something that I just felt like you had to say that to people 10 years ago. But now I feel like people just have so much more information. They're not tricked as much as they used to be.
That's a good point. And I think it helps because like there are some processed foods that they're so, like almond milk's a great example. There's some, like you look at the ingredient level or ingredients, there's so many different things. And then there's some that are just almonds and water. So and it's not always, like you said, you have to have it accessible at the store you shop at, but that's where it becomes easy to make a good choice. What I find frustrating is the best choice is usually the most expensive choice.
Most expensive. Yeah. And that's a very, very real conversation because food is so expensive right now. And that's one of the, I know everyone doesn't have a Costco, but I think Aldi and Lidl and some of those stores can be great. But I do love when I see like Costco putting things like nuts and seeds on coupon, apple on coupon, perfect bars on coupon, some of like the better choices, chopsticks on coupon. I'm like, just that's something your family eats. When it goes on Costco coupon, buy 3 of them because those aren't going bad. If that's, if you have a big family like us when everyone's home, because that is, you're stealing basically. I mean, it's not covering what that food costs to make. So I really appreciate when I see that in stores because I am conscious of like, I'll go and show my cart and, someone's like, how much is that? I'm like, yeah, $500. And I know not everyone's spending $500 at the grocery store. I get that. So I get that. Like that is very, very real. And that's why coming up with some options that check all the boxes is really great. Or when something goes on sale, it can be really helpful.
Yeah. That's a great tip. I do the same thing when those Simple Mill almond flour crackers, those are our go-to. And they were on sale a few weeks ago. And I think the limit was 5. So I went 1 week, bought 5. I went the next week, bought 5 more. And Jason's like, what is going on with crackers? Like, and I was like,
did you check the expiration date? Because crackers don't last that long.
They don't last that long in my house. Oh. They might last longer with
I was going to say anything like that. That's probably like 3. You'd be surprised. I remember because I worked at a cafe. Well, when I had the cafe at American Family, I would often find myself working in it. And I couldn't believe how fast some things would expire. I was like, oh my gosh. And they're like, yeah, that's like a 6 to 8 week shelf life. I'm like, okay, well now I really got to pay attention to dates. But certain things, maybe those crackers are different. But yeah, your family, I mean, that's a box for everybody. They're fine.
But like today, RX bars were on sale and we bought 6 boxes because I'm like, Jason, and then I'm sending some to school with Ty. I'm like, they'll go through them. And you gotta cut the corners where you can, right?
Yeah. Especially if your family likes it. That's the thing. Like if your family likes it and it's on Costco coupon or it's on sale at the grocery store. Or like my sister shops at Thrive because she's the little kids. And she's like, she always texts me right before. She's like, what should I get? I'm like, I don't really shop there, Brookie. But I'll go to the website and I'll be like, screenshot. I would get here's the brands I like. I love Siete. I love, and she does that. And you can get that Thrive can be great. I'm going to say one thing about Thrive that I got recently that I was like, oh my gosh. It was a while ago. I actually almost threw them away. And you know how I feel about throwing food away. But I had bought these like cauliflower hash. So it was like, kind of looked like a hash brown, but they were made of cauliflower or made of zucchini. And they were very clean and wonderful. And I cooked them once and I was like, and I only got them because when you buy frozen food from Thrive, you need to buy like at least $50 worth. They won't send it to you. And I wanted like cauliflower rice or I wanted like one thing. So I was like, let me see what else they have. And I just got a bunch of random stuff. And I really didn't I was like, no one's going to eat these in my house. So I pulled them out the other day and they were like frozen burn. And no way I'm eating something frozen. I'm like, let me just like saute them. I put them in a pan, I put olive oil on the pan, cooked them for 5 minutes on each side. They have been a hit. Like last night we had them with, we bought the sushi from Costco, like the ahi tuna and the salmon. It's raw and it's a very good amount of fish for the price. It's a very good amount for the price. And you can make poke bowls with it. You can do all these things. But I was like, how yummy would that be on one of these so it was just like, it tasted like something special, like that you'd get it at whatever. But yeah, I would recommend those, but it's just don't cook them the way they say, cook them on a pan. Cause I think it's said to like oven or microwave them, and that now you have to cook them on a pan with just a little bit of olive oil. So that was one of the questions I wanted to ask you about, Amy, cause now everyone's getting ready for back to school, packed lunches, busy weeknights. Can you give us some ideas for some healthy, easy, you shared the chicken. That was a great one. How about lunches?
Since the boys were little, I tried to get them in the habit of packing their own lunches. One from just say, there's too much going on in the morning. I would usually make breakfast, but then, they're in there making their own lunches. So I think it really depends on the person. And if you're talking about kids, I tried to just make sure like you've got some kind of main with a protein. Ty, my youngest, didn't like sandwiches, whereas the other two were fine with sandwiches. So he would do a lot of, like, especially he was in high school and older, he would do a lot of leftovers, and he wouldn't even microwave them. Like, he was fine with them cold, but I'm not sure everyone. So I think just for lunches, keeping it simple, and really the best tip, and this gets back to the boring but simple, is just make extra for dinner and get the leftovers. That is the best lunch. For me, I try to keep, and this is something I've more kind of started doing in the past 2 years, I'd say, I really try to keep lunch pretty simple and a little bit lighter. I feel like I have a bigger breakfast, a bigger dinner, and I try not to overthink lunch. And lunch is one, I definitely have protein, but I think for me, lunch has become more about how can I get a lot of fiber and vegetables in. So frequently, my favorite lunch is really just a salad. Like today I had, we were running around all morning. I came back, I was pretty exhausted, but I was pretty hungry. And old me would have done like deli meat sandwich, pickle, maybe some chips. Can't get away with that anymore. So, it was simple. Greens, I had gotten some really good looking strawberries at Costco, did a little bit of like Parmesan cheese, some pumpkin spice nuts, which I always have on hand, a apple cider vinaigrette, and some leftover grilled chicken. And it was delicious. It was so simple. I threw it together so quick. So I think just really for packing, my husband, he's a teacher now. He does lots of leftovers. And just trying to keep it pretty simple, but also fueling. I know for me, I usually need some type of carb. Otherwise, in the afternoon, I will start snacking a lot. So getting a good amount of protein, but then also getting something that's a little more of a fun treat, if you will. Like if you have a healthy carb on hand, great, but piece of fruit's great. But even if you have like some crackers with your salad or whatever, or some rice with your leftover chicken, it's fine. It's whatever's gonna, help you feel good. I think just not overthinking it, and then not also using it as an excuse to have to like order out or go out.
Yeah, absolutely. That's where when people do mention the cost of food, I really say, like, my thing is like, I don't really enjoy eating out that much because it makes me mad because it's not as good. But of course, if you enjoy eating out, then you should. But that's what really blows me away, how much it costs for like a bowl or something. And even if there are some places where it's like maybe under $10, but you're getting such a small portion of protein, you're getting lower quality, so if you can take your out budget and shorten it a little bit and put it in the grocery store or wherever you shop, I think you're just going to get, I think everybody, it's kind of like, I know, don't, Kelly, but sometimes people don't think like that. And that's how I justify, like, yeah, I don't mind buying sushi grade tuna at Costco because that's going to be my going out night food. Because I don't feel like cooking tonight. So instead of ordering pizza or ordering Chinese, that's what I'm doing. I'm grabbing that at Costco, and it's like a convenience. In my mind, it's convenience food, but it's also a real food. So if you can find stuff like that makes your family or meet you a little more excited, and you might be paying a little bit more for it, but it's less than what you would get out, I guess is how I look at it.
Right. And then even if you are, let's say you're paying more and getting, flank steak or whatever, but you're preparing it, you're marinating it, you know what type of oil or seasoning. And I mean, that's one thing this summer, Jason and I spent some time in Charlottesville, and we're like, oh, let's go out and, explore new restaurants. And I mean, 80% of the places we ate at, even I'm not ordering crazy stuff. It's the same type of foods I'm getting, but I had a stomach ache almost every time afterwards. I'm like, it is just not worth it.
I got like that when, that happened to me at one point, and I was like, I don't even enjoy going out
and
anymore.
I'm like, I'm not ordering crazy things. I got like a steak and roasted vegetables. If I'm going to get a stomach ache, I'm going to want something more fun than that,
Yeah, or you're so full and you don't feel like you really ate that much. That's the other thing. Like sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like I eat so much at home. My plates are huge, and like I can't finish something. I'm like, what's in this that's making it so much heavier or richer? Yeah, per Andrew the other night, we went out for our anniversary the night before, the night before boot camp, and he was like, no, I can't. Like, I'm like, you can't eat. Like, it was like a really heavy sauce. We don't eat that kind of food, and it really upset his stomach. So learn the hard way. Okay. So one thing I wanted to say about lunches, I was actually just thinking this because Lindsay had to pack her lunch all summer, and of course she's running out the door to work. You know how that works. So we had to have a lot of like everything in the fridge ready. So it was like the hummus containers, the guac containers, veggies. She loves. There's a little protein snack box at Costco right now. It's a little pricey, but again, it's better than her grabbing something out. It's like pumpkin seeds, nuts, and like Parmesan. It's like, she's like, I feel like I eat this forever. I'm like, I know exactly what you mean. Cause it's like this little tiny container, but it's like, there's little shreds of Parmesan. It's like, it is actually really good with an apple or something fresh. So that's what I was going to say. So you take those things, which those are processed, packaged, whatever. And then you grab something fresh. You grab an apple, which is the fastest thing to grab, or a bag of veggies and an apple, or whatever it is. I mean, I think that that's a really great hack. Even like the little cheeses, but then something fresh. It's like, even when Lindsay did that course with you back when she was little, you taught her that, like when you pack your lunch, something fresh, like what's one fresh thing. And I think that's such a simple thing that everybody can do. And it does make a difference. I think you feel better when you have something fresh. And if you can't do a salad, or you don't, like just now, right before here, I came home, I was rushing, and I made like the fastest chicken salad ever. And I didn't want to use the lettuce because I was saving it for the salad for dinner tonight. So I took celery, and I just took like hearts of palm, celery, chicken salad. I mean, it was hodgepodge a little bit. And then of course I threw some jalapenos on it, but it was so good. And it was like seconds, and it wasn't a salad. And for me, I usually want to have a salad, but like if you have stuff ready like that, then you can just grab it. So I think that's helpful for everybody. Okay, this is a big question. How can you tell the difference between hunger and cravings, and what helps us stay full and satisfied? We talked about this a little bit.
Yeah, so I mean that is one thing with kind of behind the clean and shred meal plan, so to speak, is that I want to teach people to get in touch with how true hunger feels, not just the cravings. The saying with hunger is, if you're hungry, you'll eat whatever. You'll eat broccoli, you'll eat an apple, you're craving chips or cookies or candy or wine or whatever. So it's really just starting to listen to those hunger cues and be comfortable with sitting in a craving and asking yourself, what's going on or what's behind it? A lot of people, it's boredom. I feel like that's like the number one. Boredom or stress, right? We stress eat, we eat when we're bored. And those are usually both very mindless because they're filling a void. So they're not even, they're usually not nutritionally nice choices. And then they're usually overeaten because we're just filling a void. So it's just a chance to get people back in touch with, listening to their body, try to teach them to eat slowly, eat to 80% full. Then this is something I struggle with because I think we've talked about this before. I like to feel full. I don't like to feel hungry. And so just sitting in the 80% full. And then if you're still hungry in 10 minutes, go get seconds or go get more, but not to overindulge from the get-go. And then you feel crappy 20 minutes later.
Yeah. Are there any foods you'd recommend for like when you're stressed and like say you just like, okay, I just need something? Is there anything you'd say like this would be a good thing to have at that time?
Yeah, so I allow them, that sounds so taskmaster of me. But things like popcorn. Because lots of people want
That's exactly what I was thinking. That's what I eat when I'm stressed.
Right. And you can have a lot of popcorn for, especially if you make it yourself. You don't have to. There's some better brands out there that are perfectly fine to have. But I feel like you can that's what I'll have a lot of times in the afternoon. I'll be like getting ready to go teach class and I'm like, I'm not really hungry, but dinner's not for a while and I want, so that or another kind of popular one in the program is just an apple with some peanut butter. Because I feel that's at least for me, that's very filling. I tell them if you're feeling extra, you can do like a small tablespoon or whatever of dark chocolate chips and then, put one on each apple with peanut butter. And that's a big treat.
Yeah. That's a go-to for both Linz and I. Okay. One more question specifically about Clean and Shred. Do you think that Clean and Shred would be a good fit for someone that's taking a GLP-1?
Actually, I think it would be a great choice. GLP-1s are obviously the forefront of what's going on right now in a conversation around weight loss. And this is at its core, it's a nutrition program, but it also is or can be a weight loss program for a lot of people. And I think GLP-1s is a whole different conversation. And I have clients who are on them and know people are on them and they're doing very well. But I think from what I've seen and just kind of the general population is if you are on a GLP-1, it is suppressing your appetite. That's what it does. And that does not necessarily mean it's teaching you about nutrition. So I've heard from some people, their medical team is on it and they're making sure they're getting nutrition coaching. And that's part of the requirement. But many people, I feel like, are just kind of here go and are not necessarily changing habits. And I say that because when you are eating less food, let's say I don't know a number, I don't know an average, but let's say 1,000 calories a day, you have a lot less leeway, right? So if you're eating a lot less food, you kind of got to make sure almost everything counts. So you the protein's a big one, but not just protein, your vitamins, your minerals, your fiber, like water's huge. So all the things, you have to be that much more focused. So I feel like Clean and Shred does that because we do strip away so much of the processed food. No one has to tell me if they're on it or not. That's none of my business unless they want to share that with me. And I'm certainly not a medical professional, so I don't give advice on GLP-1s. Other than I do know if you're on one, you got to lock in that much more on what you're eating because you don't have as much room for error.
Right. Yeah. And I think it naturally has the opposite effect. Like you said, it suppresses your hunger. I liken it to being sick. Not like, this isn't saying anything negative, but when you're sick, the last thing you want is a chicken breast, right? You want like a piece of bread, toast with butter, or like you want something like more. And I do think that it from the people that I talk to candidly about it, they're very honest. Like it's very hard for me to get protein and vegetables. The two things they say are the hardest because they just don't crave them. And like me in particular, like I eat a lot of vegetables because I like the volume, and it's to me, it's like free food. And if I wasn't looking for volume and I wasn't looking to be full, I don't know that I would eat that many vegetables. You know, I mean, yes, I want to be nutritious and I need the nutrients, but I just realistically, like, I probably wouldn't. Like, I would just be like, I'm not hungry. I don't need to figure out how to make myself feel satisfied because I'm already not hungry. Yeah, that's good. Okay, good. Anything else that you want to talk about or say about Clean and Shred or about anything?
Well, so Clean and Shred starts September 10th, so there's time to sign up. I will say it is more than just the education and the guidelines for eating. It really is a community that is so supportive, and it's hard to put into words, like we know because we've been in these groups, but I firmly believe that's the real reason people come back.
No, they like cleaning up at the end of summer. I know they'll just have their last hurrah and they'll be like, I'm doing Clean and Shred. Yeah. I can do this now. I'm like, is that how it works?
Right.
We're trying, but we're moving. Yeah. We're not quite moving away from that mindset of like,
right. Yes.
Clean it up, but it's okay. Hey, what if you didn't clean it up? That's what I always say. What if you didn't clean it up? It's great to have something that just and people say that. They're like, you know, even people that I talk to all the time that are doing the DW, that are doing everything. They're like, yeah, Kelly, I just need structure right now. I need a plan. I need a program. I'm like, yeah, you should totally do it because that's exactly what it's going to do. And it's going to be easier for you because you're already doing a lot of the things. It's just going to narrow things down and make it more fun, right? When other people are doing something, even when it's hard, it's way more fun. And it's actually sometimes fun because it's hard, I think, because it's like you're all doing something hard together. That's a really good feeling.
Right. And I mean, it's just such a fun, supportive community. We have weekly meetings. They're going to be Thursdays at 5:15 p.m. and they are recorded. So if you have to miss, it's not a big deal. And then we stay connected through a private Facebook group. Some people are kind of hesitant because they don't get on Facebook a lot. You don't have to get on a lot, but I try to, tell people check in once a day, once every other day at a minimum, because you really are missing so much of the interaction, the recipe, or the question. I encourage people, I'm like, if you have a question, please don't text me, not because I don't want your text, but because somebody else has the same question. I can almost guarantee it. So if you put it in the group, then not only I can answer and everyone can see it, but everyone else can chime in. Like,
oh, I totally agree. It's really easy to manage. I mean, I've done a lot of programs where it's like there's videos and it's like, so like it's hard to manage. Facebook is easy to manage. It really is. You can search it. You can sort by most recent. You can sort by most popular. I totally agree about the group. And one thing I don't always do, but I've tried to do with the last time that I did a Facebook group is have a link. Because I'll go onto Facebook and then I'm like looking at Julie White's wedding pictures, or I'm like, as soon as I go on, I'm like, then I'm lost. And I'm like, wait, what am I doing? So I'll have a link where it's like takes me directly to that group. So I can't just go on Facebook because I do love to see what's going on, and I just can get lost really quick in things that I care about, but things that I need to stay focused on what I'm trying to do right now. So my reason for not liking Facebook groups is because I like Facebook, and I want to, like, I'll go on and I'll be like, oh, and then I'll get lost in like my high school friend's son's something. So I just try not to, I try to keep my blinders on, like if it's during the day and I'm trying to be productive, I guess, whenever is other times is great. Well, this was amazing. And I hope that everyone that's listening to this learned something. And if you've been on the fence about thinking about doing a coaching program, I think Clean and Shred is the one that would really make the biggest difference in not only what you're going to do in this 6-week program, but what you're going to do afterwards, what you're going to learn, the recipes. Amy said 100 recipes. And I hate recipes that I haven't tried before because then I get really mad if they're not good. But I know that if someone in that group, if Amy's keeping it in the book, it's a good recipe. So it's not like a random recipe that's like, just like someone pulled it from Facebook. It's something that people have made and made over and over again. So that alone is worth it, actually, in my opinion.
Yeah. The rule is you have to have tried it and liked it or it can't go in.
I know. It's like, yes, it's like book club. It's like, oh, well, everyone hates the book. And they're like, well, yeah, I never read it. I'm like, why would you recommend a book to a group of people? We all go out and buy this $30 book and no one likes it. Anyway, this was awesome. Thank you so much, Amy, and happy belated. Well, her birthday, when this comes out, her birthday will have been last week, but she rocked her birthday push-ups, looking strong. Awesome job. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Start Before You're Ready. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, leave a review, and share with a friend who might need a little motivation. Ready to start your own journey? Check out our workouts and nutrition coaching programs at kellysbootcamp.net. You can choose from in-person sessions or virtual programs. Set up a complimentary coaching session to get started. Follow along with me and the show on social media at Kellys_bootcamp. Until next time, this is Kelly Young reminding you that the best time to start is always now.